and take this AFC home. And why not go to him? And so I think it's fair to cement the Broncos as contenders. But with that being the case, I'd like to just see how many teams we think can hang with the Broncos in the AFC this season. So let me pose to you another question. Let's play AFC Contenders or Pretenders. All right, you ready for this? So we're gonna go through all these other AFC teams, and kind of use the Broncos as your benchmark, um, and ask yourself, can they beat them in the AFC Championship? So starting things off, the Houston Texans. What do you think, Dan? Are they contenders or
Contenders.
pretenders? Contenders?
I say contenders.
Do you want to give just a little bit why?
Oh, of course. Like as we said, as we seen in the last Super Bowl, a defense can legitimately win you a championship. You know what I mean? Get the offense started, put them in great position, do what they need to do. And I'm not lying. Like the Eagles defense was fantastic last year. And I can say this defense feels, if not the same, just a tad bit better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No bias, no real ish. This is that one dude on the illegal formation. This ain't no Eagle. I'm putting the Eagles fan stuff aside. I'm putting legit facts here. They are looking more dominant. They are looking like they cause more pressures, more headaches for the quarterback, for the coaches, for the offenses. The way they physically lay out the hits and do that stuff, like it is an old school kind of defense that it seems like D'Amico Ryan has brought, and they're absolutely cooking. So yes, contenders.
All right. Yeah, I feel it's a very similar theory to the Broncos, except they have a defensive head coach. So I like Denver a little bit more from that standpoint, only because Vance Joseph, the Broncos defensive coordinator, is a head coach level DC, and I don't love the Texans offensive coordinator Nick Haley like that yet. So, and their offensive line's also been a major issue early on. Maybe not so much now. It's improving, but it's not like it's a strength. Like the Broncos have a good offensive line. It's important to remember that too. But I think Stroud is better than Bo Nix. I think Stroud's done everything Bo Nix has done, and I think even though he
Besides
has,
win a playoff game.
well, he won against the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, he beat the Browns. That's what I'm getting
No.
at. Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
Stroud won, but Blake
yeah.
didn't.
And
Yeah.
Bo Nix, yeah, right. He couldn't, and he doesn't have Sean Payton helping him, and he doesn't have the offensive line helping him. But he does have great wide receivers, something that the Broncos don't. Nico Collins is elite. That's something that can really help you win playoff games. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel are great rookies. Third year wide receiver Xavier Hutchinson and Christian Kirk is like your 4 or 5 as a solid vet. So the blueprint's very similar to Denver, and I like them also as contenders. I agree. Now, next team are the Buffalo Bills contenders or pretenders?
Contenders. Let me elaborate. Mahomes not there. Lamar almost not. Joe Burrow's not. A lot of these guys they're about to be in the playoffs. He's beaten normally, and usually, and you saw the Broncos for example. He destroyed them already. The number one seed. So if he's able to beat the number one seed, I think he could beat the like half charged up Chargers. The Texans are the only team right now I feel like that could stop him right now. Hence why I would say like that right there to me is the AFC Championship game. I'll call that where what I feel.
Texans Bills.
So Texans Bills.
Okay.
So that's why I say contenders.
All right. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I got to ask you, did you mean to leave them off your list if that's the case? Or would you sandwich them ahead of the Broncos and behind the Texans at 5?
I had at 10 the Chargers, right?
Yeah, you kick them down and move everyone down one spot.
No, but that's why for me like the Chargers and the Bills I feel like are interchangeable. Almost like the Chargers defense is so stagnant and clutch for the Chargers, hence why it keeps them in games.
Mhm.
But the offense, I feel like Herbert is so skilled with his passing ability, his accuracy. It allows them to stay in games
For
especially
sure.
having Quentin Johnson and Keenan Allen and all these other like players who are able to get open rather than having a brittle defense who struggles genuinely in these kinds of like really serious matchups. But you have an absolute like the MVP of last year, so it kind of like it teeters. So it's almost like they have the same value, but the graphs are just way proportionally different. Is what I
It
would say.
sounds like you want to rank them in the top 10 sake in the sake of the top 10 for week 16. You currently want to hold them around a number 9 or number 10 team, but you expect them in the playoffs to be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, right now,
Yeah,
like if you just say like if the Bills are in there, who am I confident in? Of course, I'm
right.
gonna trust the
All
Bills
right.
because if they've been there.
All right, fair enough. All right. Next, the New England Patriots, are they contenders or are they pretenders? Oh wait, I'm
So
sorry. I forgot to give my take on the Bills.
yes, you did.
Yeah, I did. All right, so this is what I think about the Bills. I said it before. Josh Allen's far and away the best QB left in the playoffs, let alone the AFC. And that's going to go a long way in these close games where it's up to the QB to make a couple plays in the clutch. And that stacks week over week. It puts a lot of pressure on the QB. That helps a lot when you have Josh Allen. The defense just can't have a dreadful half. And they could win it all this year. The problem is that seems inevitable. So I don't know. There's a caveat with every team. It's maybe not so concentrated as it is on this Bills team. But something about Josh Allen being able to compensate for that seems like a chance I'd be willing to take this year. I think the Bills are contenders for sure. All right, next. The New England Patriots, Dan. Are they contenders or are they pretenders?
So I've been thinking about this like kind of like on my own all day, which is why it was funny when you told me you were gonna bring up this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't lie, right? It is the Bills, the Chargers, the Texans, the Steelers, or the Ravens. And I'm missing one team. Help me out here. The Colts,
The
possibly.
Jaguars?
The Jaguars. Yes, the Jaguars. That's what it is. And I'm not gonna lie, right? I'm gonna say contenders. One for the sake of how my top 10 is, but there's a gut. It's one of those gut feelings I don't know how to explain. That the Patriots, I feel like, may be shocked experiencing the playoffs for the first time, and that there's a chance that one of these teams may get them one and done.
Mm-hmm. I've shared that similar belief, but there was if before you want to answer, if you want me to kind of share a devil's advocate with you, I'm more than happy to do that. Or you can just finish.
For me, I mean, like I'll listen to your devil's advocate before.
So I thought the same exact mindset as you. Oh, they haven't been tested much. This is a brand new team. I don't like it. But something about Mike Vrabel being the head coach of this team I really like with Josh McDaniels. And thinking to myself, if Vrabel can get to an AFC championship with Ryan Tannehill, I absolutely think he can win one with Drake May, especially this year with no Mahomes, no Burrow,
Yeah.
and possibly no Lamar. So that's kind of my devil's advocate.
Okay. I see what you're saying, which is why I'm saying like I genuinely believe like that's why I have them so high in my top 10. They're a great team.
Mhm.
I believe in these coaches. I believe in the skill set. Um,
Will Campbell and Milton Williams are also out right now. They'll be back.
by then, yeah. So there's just the pieces that are needed, and I wonder because how I've seen some teams in the past, they sign players just last second to be able to kind of finish
Finish it.
what they needed.
Yeah,
And I'm
complete.
wondering if they try that somewhat this season. I gotta look up, of course, what receivers right now are available that could do something. I haven't seen D Hop on the Ravens so far. I haven't seen a lot of these players that I feel like we're gonna do something this year. They haven't been
A lot of them haven't been
active.
hitting. I think is
Exactly.
Amari Cooper still a free agent?
I believe so.
Maybe him, but I don't know. He didn't look great on the Bills, so
I also feel like just that Josh Allen just didn't use him the way I thought he would.
maybe
I don't know what it is with Josh Allen and like star receivers because like he did good with Diggs one year, and then he just started to slowly fall off.
they changed the scheme. But with all this being said, how are you feeling? Sounds like you're circling both answers.
Yeah, but for this context, I shouldn't be down on them, so I'm gonna say contenders.
Yeah, and honestly, I actually agree. Mostly though because the AFC is wide open. Because I think maybe their path won't be like
This is the
crazy.
first season that you just don't know.
Well, yeah, you really don't know. The AFC has been so copy paste. Literally, it was actually getting kind of boring. We kind of asked for this, and now we don't know what to do. But yeah, that's really how it feels, and that means this Patriots team. If the questions were like, oh, experience, they got Mike Vrabel. It's not like they went 11-2 for no reason.
Yep.
Like there are reasons for it, and it's been, I think, cohesiveness, execution, playing really hard. Sure, the schedule's been easy, but Drake May is fantastic, and the sky's the limit for him. He can only get so much better in one season, but can they get to an AFC Championship? And then at that point, anything can happen. Yeah, I think they can beat in a universe any one of these AFC teams. And in the past couple years, there would be new teams that I would say no chance they beat the Chiefs, and go to the Super Bowl. So I do think they are contenders. All right, next. This is where things get interesting, in my opinion. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 10-4 and currently hold first place in the AFC South ahead of the Texans. Are they contenders or pretenders?
Pretenders.
Pretenders? Okay, why? You're a T-Law
I
guy.
think I'm a T-Law guy, and I don't think that's the reason why they're pretenders. I think they're pretenders because, how do I say, they have acquired weapons throughout this season that, personally, I just don't know
Like Jacoby
how.
Myers.
Like Jacoby Myers, having Travis Hunter, having BTJ.
Mm-hmm.
BTJ has completely dropped off this season the way that he's supposed to. Um, what's it called? Myers finally is having his breakout. Strange, I haven't seen him being as active. They're using Washington more than BTJ. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean he's
Then
heated up a little bit, but it's still
and
disappointing to see like you only have this going now.
and as we said beforehand, like um, I feel like the Jaguars and a lot of their wins, like the Chiefs was a good example, like falling twice and being able to run for a touchdown. I feel
That
like a lot of
accidental win
Jacksonville's,
theory.
yeah, I feel like a lot of Jacksonville's games have not been as like dominant as I thought they would have been, and it's almost like they're gonna go into the playoffs with that kind of mindset, like, okay, we're just gonna make it happen. But it's like the playoffs, you can't really just make it happen. It's like no, like you are literally emptying the playbook in the playoffs, and I just wonder how much more do the Jacksonville Jaguars really have to empty. I feel like they've been pretty lucky throughout the regular season to get to the record that they have, and I don't know if that luck can continue.
Yeah. So
And
you
also too, like you play the Titans twice a year, and then the Colts. You always lose in Jacksonville, so that's already 3 wins. I feel like guaranteed.
yeah.
Both Texans fights, you're kind of always guaranteed. Like both Texan games are going to be really tough. Um, and they play a lot. They played a lot of like good, like pretty, like easy teams this year again too. But they also had really good competitive teams as well. So it's a mixture. I just don't. I just think that um, they don't have everything that they need right now.
So you think pretenders?
Yes.
Yeah, them I'm not so sure about them as contenders. They've had high points early and at this point in the season. Early on they beat Houston, San Francisco, and the Chiefs in a row, which was a really impressive win streak. They go into the bye, come out. They have a 2-game losing streak. This was before the bye to the Seahawks and the Rams, and they looked
Hmm.
bad in those losses. It wasn't like close losses. Post bye, they sneak past the Raiders in overtime, and then lose to Davis Mills Texans. And Davis Mills isn't bad, no disrespect, but it wasn't Stroud in a shootout too. So what's up with the defense? It's supposed to be so great. They crushed
One
the
point, the highest scoring defense in the league in the early season.
right, and then they crushed the Chargers. And the Chargers have problems, but they're also 10-4. And then they blow past this month of layups with dominating defense, the run game, and T-Law just played the best game of his career. This team has every right, kind of by like just quantitative measure, to project where the Texans and Broncos are right now. But to me, you use the word consistency, the lack of it has me believing that they're a team I expect to have inconsistency show up at the worst time
That's
and
exactly what I'm
cost them.
saying.
So I'll say
It's like
pretender.
yep. It's a game by game basis with the Jags,
Yeah.
and that's what stresses me out.
That's what I like more about the Broncos than the Jaguars, even though there are only 2 games separating these two teams and they have some similar components. I think we know the Broncos are better, but it's the Broncos win the same way every time. And just another little note on them, kind of could be reminded of the Minnesota Vikings when they were 14-3. Oh, you're winning all these one-score games, even against bad teams and stuff like that, and it's true. But the thing that could have forecasted that they were a fraudulent team to us is the EPA chart. And for the viewers, I will throw that on so that you guys can see where the Broncos lie. And it's right here. So the Vikings were kind of in the middle of this cross that you can see. And it's plotting defensive EPA up and down, and then it's plotting offensive EPA left to right. And it kind of gives you, a good idea of how good a team is and how balanced they are. Are they really, if you're in the top right, you're doing good. You're good at both. And we see teams like the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Broncos aren't quite out there with the Rams and the Seahawks. They're right next to the Jaguars. The Patriots are ahead of them on the offensive EPA. The one thing EPA I think has a kind of trouble adjusting for is when you have an easy schedule that's feeding you those successful plays. So some of those teams, you got to take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't tell the whole story, but the Jaguars, in theory, have performed at the same way as the Broncos, adding up the whole season. But when you look at the pieces that make that up and the inconsistencies, it looks uglier. And I think that's where the doubt comes from. So I just wanted to inject that. So you ready for the next team?
Get it rocking.
Chargers. Pretenders or contenders?
Neither. They're survivors, Scotty. That's what I freaking think, because they are trying their absolute best right now to get this going. If both Slater and Alt were together and they were here, they would be monsters. I would say contenders immediately. Yeah. But you have always that underdog team that everybody's like, they're not giving up. They're gonna get smacked. And it's sad to say, but like this lineup of teams that are coming up for the playoffs, like this is a pretend kind of, they're pretenders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard when you're betting on your running game 24/7, and yes, they were able to go up against a Mahomes Chiefs team and everything, but they were beaten and battered and couldn't get nothing going. Rashee Rice, literally almost died the way he got freaking smacked on that slant route. Xavier Worthy got absolutely bodied in the game. It's a different story when you have, what's it called? The receiving core and the defenses that you're about to have to go up against now. I would feel so bad watching the Texans play the Chargers.
Yeah, and you know what? You saying that is just like we see the same thing. It's much more obvious to me that the Chargers are inconsistent. I mean, they lost 34-9 to the Jaguars.
And the Eagles didn't have a better game, but that game with the Eagles was the most ugliest. It was literally that right there is the definition of who wanted to lose more.
Yeah, no, it was. And let's not forget last year either. We saw them play the Texans, and they got Justin Herbert got crushed. He threw 4 picks all year, and then threw 4 in the game, in the single game. And both tackles out for the year. Bad offensive line.
They would get mauled. It'd be
second they play Houston or Denver, they're done. Even the Steelers could be a bad matchup, even though they beat them early on. I think they had Joe Alt in that game. So Denver, Houston, auto losses, and I just don't know if they can keep up scoring with the Patriots and Bills. That's a lot on Justin Herbert's shoulders. The defense is playing fairly well, but that didn't help them last year. And I think they're pretenders. I don't want to conflate my excitement for what they can be next year with expectations for this year's playoffs.
Exactly.
It's great that they're doing well. It's going to fall apart. This is their caveat, is just Justin Herbert's going to get sacked 9 times and lose at the end of the season. So, pretenders for the Chargers. Next, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. The AFC's wide open, right? Are they contenders or are they pretenders, Dan?
Bro, pretenders by a mile. And I'm sorry to all the Steelers fans. Listen, you right across the state from me, okay? But Bro, you can't look at this Steelers team, right, and how they've played. Like, congrats. Like, you guys beat the Dolphins. Congrats. DK Metcalf, bro, DK Metcalf's stiff arm to Minka last night was low key crazy. I don't know if you saw it, Scotty, but this dude legitimately caught the ball in a tight window, turned around, grabbed Minka Fitzpatrick, and just said, "Excuse me,"
Yeah,
and literally just shifted him and then ran for the touchdown. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
The teams
Like,
that made that trade are, going up against their former teammate, except DK never played against or played with
I
Minka
never played with the
because
Dolphins, yeah.
he just got moved there. But you understand what
I
I'm
get where you're
saying.
coming from.
What I'm saying, yeah.
So for me, like this is a pretender team. This is all hype. Keep the positive record, and we'll try again next year, chat.
Um, yeah. Rodgers is playing, better since the injury, and do we trust his defense and the purgatory squad to slip through? They got Detroit next week. If they can beat them, I can believe. But
I'll believe.
but not right now. The Steelers are like my second favorite team. I love Aaron Rodgers. No one wants them to win more than I do right now, but I just can't.
Hmm.
They're pretenders. But I will say my reasoning going into the playoffs and like why they always lost is they always lost to the Chiefs, Bills, Ravens last year, Bengals. They would lose to them too. It's just the Bills really. Rodgers versus Bo Nix, Drake May, and Stroud, all a bunch of guys who have barely been there. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's impossible, I guess. But it all depends on the Lions game. If they can play well against them, which they might not, but their defense is going to have to show up if they're going to win. Next, and our very last team in Contenders or Pretenders in the AFC, we got the Ravens. Dan, are the Ravens contenders or pretenders?
This is what I say. They got a 5 game win streak. I don't know. I don't believe that 5 game win streak was the best. It might have continued. I don't remember if they lost or not, but
They lost to
they
the
did.
Bengals.
They lost to the Bengals.
Yeah,
Okay, but they did just pitch a
and
shutout
then they
against the Bengals
and
now.
then they beat them now. That's right.
So pitching a shutout, it's a good statement, especially for a defense that you feel like was always struggling. Now that Burrow's back, even though Higgins was out, um, I don't want to go and say the Bengals were one dimensional with only Jamar Chase out there. Um, but at the same time, the Ravens and Lamar and how they have been this chemistry between Zay Flowers and Bateman and Andrews, it's just not the same. It doesn't none of the Ravens offense, nothing about it feels the same. And what I mean by not the same is not a good way. It's like they all look like they are confused about where they're trying to go and what they're trying to do 90% of the time. And this is more of Derrick Henry's season because it's colder. You don't want your receivers getting hit, but he's the kind of guy that he still runs strong. He'll still run hard and be able to get big yards. Um, and he was able to do that against the Bengals for sure. Um, but going into the playoffs, you need more than just running.
Yeah,
And I feel like they just haven't been able to get it together on the pass game.
it's real tough too. They got the Patriots, the Packers who are hurt now, and then the Steelers to finish off this season. That's a brutal end of the year schedule for a team that's 500, trying to make it into the playoffs. I feel like you're lucky to go 2-1 there. Not that the odds are much greater than them going 1-2, but you get what I mean. Um, but did you say
I said
pretenders?
pretenders.
Yeah. Well, I actually think if they can win the division, then they are contenders. Because none of the regular season matters. None of all the struggles of what they've looked like matters if they get to the playoffs. They've had times to figure things out on defense, and it always gets better for them, right? Their defense always starts worse than it ends on the season, even if they have injuries. And Lamar is trending upwards right now. He looks more healthy each week. And as each week goes on, I will say he looked like gimped coming back initially. He doesn't look like that anymore. So even though the passing game is still kind of off. Him and his scrambling ability looks like it might be back, which means the run game might be kind of back. And if he's in there, the regular season doesn't matter. I'm going to give him the same respect I give Josh Allen, because the Bills also have embarrassingly bad flaws with this defense.
Mm-hmm.
They let up a monster game to Travion Henderson and won because of Josh Allen. The Ravens, they win games because of Lamar Jackson. I mean, they do lose them sometimes, I will admit. But
Because of Lamar Jackson, yeah.
But they are also much newer. There's like no film. I feel like there's no film on what the Ravens are doing right now because they can't do anything right. So there's nothing to study. I know that sounds crazy, but they just have started playing healthy pretty much, this week, I would say. They lost to the Bengals and Steelers. It looked like everything was over. Now they kind of look a lot better. And to me, like I said, I'm just going to give them the same respect and say if they do get in there, then I will say they are contenders. They're going to be a team that nobody should want to play first round. That's for sure, at least. So maybe a little disagreement there. I'm still kind of holding out faith, but I just keep going back to how crazy this year is. So